Greetings, fellow concerned Nigerian. I just listened to a rich conversation on Twitter and I guess you would like to hear it. It is obvious that the youth of Nigeria have risen up to the challenge to say, never again in the history of Nigeria will things remain the way they are. Even the distinguished Senator Chiboroke Namani himself has added his voice to a better Nigeria. I encourage you to listen to this.
Elections offers us yet another opportunity to reset the course of history of our nation. It is left for us to choose where we want to stand and where we want history to remember us for. For those of us that are still very much patient, that still have the time to wait for another 8 years of incompetence, another 8 years of excuses, another 8 years of inefficiency, good luck to you. I'm going to be 34 by December. If you add 8 years to 34, you already know what the figure is going to be. So I don't have the time. I do not have the patience to continue to sacrifice my life living in a country that has become hell for its people. Therefore, it is our responsibility as Nigerians to do something about the situation. And if you want to do something, don't just do something because you believe you would bring change. Do it as part of the Desa Miss said for the purpose of archaeology. Let it be that when the history of this country would be told, it will be found that in your lifetime, you choose to be different. You choose to be different. So don't just say, I'm not going to vote because I don't want to waste my vote. Even in situations of war, like we have in Ukraine now, there are people that are conscientious objectors. They just say they don't want to participate in this war. So you can vote as a conscientious objector. Take a stand on the side of history. Tell yourself, I don't want to bequeath a country to my children that will be worse than what my father bequeathed to me. We will have failed a generation if, with what we have suffered as young people in this country, we fail to optimize the opportunity that the next election offers us. It doesn't always come very regularly in the life of every nation. This is our time. This is the time for young people to speak. And I urge you, I plead with you, look beyond the sentiment that they are using to divide us. Take up responsibility. Fight for your future. Fight for your children. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you. That is all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your contribution. I'd like to go to Show. He's had his hand up for a minute. Show, you have the floor. You can speak now. Please make it brief. I'd like to round up the space by 11. So make it 3 minutes so we can have other speakers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'll try and touch on a few things and I'll be off. So, just going to say something quickly. I've had a few people, on this space and a few other spaces I've joined on YouTube lives I've watched regarding Nigerian election 2023. I've had people talk about, don't be emotional, take away emotions from all of it, but it's practically impossible to separate emotions from such discussions because scientists will tell you that, there's a part of your brain that you engage when you discuss things you believe in. And there's not much that you believe in than your religion and your country. And that's why you see people when they defend their religion and when they defend their countries, they're very emotional. And one of the, mistakes we make is when we talk about emotions, we talk about just sadness and people crying and their voice breaking and all of that. But there are about 10 or 12 different types of emotion. Anger is one of them. So you've seen people talk and get angry. So anger is an emotion, surprise is an emotion, sadness, shyness, all sort of emotions do exist. So when that idiot was saying that, people shouldn't vote because they're angry or whatever I said, it's just being just displaying that is a big people have the right to be angry because this is, touching on their lives. So I'll move on, from that quickly. And I would like to quickly disabuse something someone said earlier. Was saying that, from the 60s, things have been really bad. I'm not saying things were perfect in the 60s. I wasn't around at the time. But based on, my little research, and I love history and politics, especially, I can tell for a fact that some of the best roads in Ibadan, I grew up in Ibadan, where Tinubu said he attended government college in Ibadan. Of course, before my time, but obviously he's lying. I attended Transform School, the primary school he said he attended. Of course, we know he's lying about all of that. But some of the best roads in Ibadan today, I mean, I don't live in Nigeria anymore, but some of the best roads were roads built by people like Bola Ige. And that's why we thank someone like Awolowo for giving us a Bola Ige. And to answer the man who said, why don't we want Tinubu? Because Tinubu said himself when he made that silly comment that Emi Lokan, and all that nonsense he was saying about Buhari, he was proud, even in 2022, to tell us that he was the one that brought Buhari upon Nigeria. Despite all the sufferings people are going through because of Buhari's administration, he said it to you. And like you said yourself, the host, sorry, I beg your pardon, I've forgotten your name. You mentioned it that we should pay attention to what these people are saying to us. Tinubu was reminding us that he brought this upon us. In 2022, he said it, and people did not pick up on that. If you brought this upon us, then we clearly do not want you. I can thank Awolowo for giving us Bolagi, for giving us BC Onobanjo, and people like that. Jakonde Estate is in Lagos. Since Jakonde Estate, which is the next one that they've built, that's for the masses. I'm not talking about Lekki and all these beautiful places they built for the rich. There's nothing wrong with that. But what other Jakonde Estate have you built since then? So we can point at things that these people did. The royal family from Saudi Arabia used to come to Ibadan, to UCH Ibadan for medical treatment. Yes, some people might say it was the legacy of the white people that they left behind. But the difference is the Bolaiges of this world, the Awolowos of this world, they maintained it. Awolowo built the NTA, the first television in West Africa. In how many months? 3 months? 4 months? That was done. What have they done since they've taken over from these people? So to compare people from the 60s with these charlatans, I think it's a disservice to those people. They deserve a bit more respect. They were far from perfect, but they gave us something that we can point at. A lot of people were educated on free education because of Awolowo's ideas. So to compare Awolowo and the likes and the Bolaigis to these charlatans we have is a disservice to those people. And lastly, what I would say, I'm an obedient. I'm a Yoruba man from Ogun State, but I'm an obedient. So it's got nothing to do with tribe. Out of everyone we've got right now, looking at their profile, Obi is the one that interests me. And I know that he's got the interest of Nigerians at heart. Obi is not perfect. When people say don't oversell him, I'm not looking for a saint. I'm not looking for a messiah. Jesus came and is gone, and he will come back someday. But today, I know Obi is the closest. When I speak to people about Peter Obi, I tell them, I start with saying, I know he's not a saint. But can any Tinubu start with that statement? With a straight face. You can't even put Tinubu and a saint in the same sentence. So I know Obi is not a saint, but I know he can do this. He's done that. He's done that. There are track records. And what I would advise us to do, we, the middle class of Nigeria, if it still exists, I think they've wiped us out. But the middle class of Nigeria, we are the lifeline. We are the one who sustain the lower class. When the politicians come, give them 2,000, 5,000, and they disappear for another 4 years. We step in the gap for those 4 years, and we support these people. We employ them. We, urgent 2K, urgent 5K, give away. If we can influence them and say to them, I mean, I'm responsible for my nephew who lives in Nigeria. He's in university, he's been there for like 6, 7 years on a 4-year course. I've told him, if you don't vote Peter Obi, Aburo, there's nothing for you, forget it. I've told my mom, vote Peter Obi. The people you can influence, this is the time you come off your high horses and speak to your driver. Tell him to tell his wife. Tell him, if Peter Obi wins and your life is no better, I will increase your salary. Joke with them. Come to their level. Sell Peter Obi to them in the language they understand. Speak to the people you can influence. It's not far-fetched. It's not the best example, but look at the
Mr.
virus
Shell, can you
situation.
wrap up in 1 minute, please? Can you wrap up
Yeah,
in one
sure,
minute,
sure.
please?
Yeah, I'll do that. So if you look at the example of the, when the virus came about recently, and the way it was multiplying, one person gives it to one person, and by 5, 6 transmissions, you're looking at 5,000 people. Tell somebody that would tell somebody that would tell somebody about Peter Obi. That's what we can do. We can only try. We don't want to say we didn't try because they told us it was impossible. Let's try. Even if we don't win, we will be able to say at least we give it our best shot. And 2023 is not the end of Nigeria. If Peter Obi doesn't win, we would keep going until we get the change we deserve and desire. Thank you very much.
He will win with this kind of movements because this is the
Yeah,
biggest
we are more
political
than them.
awakening.
Yes, we are more
Yes,
than them.
this is the yes. So thank you for your contribution, sir. I'd like to go to Mr. Chimaro Kenamani. Sir, we're working on the time here, sir. I'd appreciate if you make it under 4 minutes. Thank you,
Well,
sir.
I'm gonna try. I welcome this opportunity to interact with you guys on this space. Ordinarily, I would have felt intimidated. I still approach this with some anxiety and trepidation knowing that the anger is directed at my generation. However, understand that being in the Nigerian Senate, I belong to a caucus of elders. Listening to you guys talking on this space, I also see a caucus of our youths. I believe there has to be a bridge. I believe that a tar brushing our generation will not solve the problem. There has to be a bridge we have to engage. Looking at the title of your discourse, State of the Nation, a few things come to my mind. And listening to those who have spoken so far, keyword reset, reset for Nigeria. So, on the issue of state of the nation, I believe that the state of the nation can be approached through 6 thematic areas. One is poverty. 2 is the youth bulge, which of course has to do with youth restiveness. 3 is critical infrastructure. 4 is national transformation, which involves restructuring Nigeria, because the reset you're talking about is restructuring Nigeria, getting the ethnic nationalities, the sovereign ethnic nationalities that agreed through series of conferences from Lagos Colony, all through Southern Protectorate, all through amalgamation, the various constitutional conferences, Macpherson Constitution, Clifford Constitution, Littleton Constitution. Nigeria is an agreed nation. That nation agreed by our progenitors and forefathers is different from the nation we have today. So we need to talk. Next issue is a gap crisis. That's the crisis, the wide gap between the rich and the poor. Even though you have a massive absolute poverty, as you know, GDP, economic growth indices do not affect absolute poverty. And of course, failed expectation framework. That is failure to fulfill on the social contract. That is my take on the state of the nation. Regarding a reset has to do with a conference of ethnic nationalities, where we will go back to what our fathers, the nation state, set by our fathers and our progenitors, so we can renegotiate Nigeria to how we started. Understand your anger, understand your angst, understand your frustration against my generation, who in some ways have dropped the ball. But you're not going to tar brush us. You're not going to throw us away. We need to negotiate. We need to engage. We need to discuss. And I'm ready
On that
to
note,
be
sir,
part of
I'd
that
like to direct a
discussion.
question to you, sir. I'd like to direct a
Okay, go
question
ahead.
to you, sir.
Go ahead.
On that
Go
note,
ahead.
I'd like to direct a question to you, sir. So
Go
now
ahead.
we understand that there's been, I mean, we saw it during NSAS, the youth protested to demand
Yes.
an end to police brutality. And at the time when, respectfully to you, sir,
Mm-hmm.
at the time when the elders could have come with us, rallied with us to amplify our voices, they didn't do that. We protested alone, sir, unless you protested with us during NSAS. But my point is that now that we're talking about fixing the nation, how are the elders of Nigeria willing to help the youth to effectuate this dream? Because it is about making the country work for us. Now, if we're going to look at it from a perspective of you guys have benefited something from the system in the past. The youths, the Nigerian youths have not benefited anything from the system. In Senate climes, there are people who have access to unemployment benefits. In Senate climes, at the certain age, the elderly would get access to certain stipends that, these are basic things. One of the things we talk about in the nation, we don't even talk about clean water anymore because people just want to survive. They just want a Nigeria where they can survive. We're in survival mode. We're citizens of Nigeria, but we're living in survival mode. Now, my direct question to you, sir, is that how are the elders willing to come together to help us actualize this vision now? This is an opportunity to write history with us.
Yes. Yes.
I'm
Yes.
asking you directly. You may speak for
My
yourself now, sir. How do you
my
intend to
answer
help this movement, to help the youth?
my answer to you is that what our country is going through Other nation states have gone through such trials. America went through the Great Depression, 1935, 1936. FDR Roosevelt put up the New Deal, targeted program. There has to be, Nigeria cannot be business as usual. Nigeria has to go with business unusual. The questions you have, the youth restlessness you have, is as a result of the youth bulge. In 1950, our population was 38 million. Presently, our population is about 200 million. 2030 to 36 million, 2050, 410 million. So there's a massive youth bulge. Other nation states like India, Bangladesh, China, Malaysia have met this youth bulge with aggressive reforms in education, health, infrastructure, food, agrarian credit schemes, entrepreneurial schemes, information technology, labor, and providing factors of production. So there has to be a targeted reform, targeted process to address the youth bulge and youth restiveness. If you recall, I believe in 48, the Truman, the Marshall Plan, America had a plan directed to the post-war recovery. 64, 65, LBJ Johnson had the New Deal, which was also aggressive housing program, food security, social security, Medicaid, Equal Opportunity Act. There has to be an aggressive program to target the youth bulge. If the country provides an enabling environment to address the youth bulge, you're going to have a demographic dividend. Where that has failed, what you have now is a demographic bomb. That demographic bomb that demographic bomb is what you associated with the end-SARS evolution, youth restiveness, problems with terrorism, banditry, problems with restiveness in the Niger Delta due to ecological degradation, pollution, acid rain, areas of non-governance. So I believe that there has to be a targeted program to address the issue. That's all I can say within this short time available to me, and under some level of trepidation, because the youths are really angry, but we can't run away. We're going to face it and engage and talk.
And
That
we
is the first
appreciate
step.
you for coming on the space. Thank you very much for your
Thank
contribution,
you,
sir. Thank you, sir.
thank
Um,
you.
Meta Tiger, you've had your hand up for a minute, and I'm meant to end the space when it's 11. So you have 2 minutes before I take Oladwe. 2 minutes, please. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, faithful women, for allowing me to speak. There is no doubt that Nigeria had witnessed moral decadence in the last 2 decades. We are talking about the state of affairs of the country, and no doubt corruption had eaten deep into the society, stealing by government officials and the so-called educated techies. I mean the Yahoo boys. Makes me wonder if education is truly fulfilling its purpose in this country. What I'm talking about is decentralized form of government. Since the centralized form of government is not working, we need decentralization of government where people deep rooted in their culture are allowed to take positions in the government. Why do I say people of culture? People that have real and proper understanding of problems affecting the people. It has been proven that one of the most successful form of entrepreneurial skills and business is from the Igbo people. So the Igbo people should help us catalyze the industrial revolution of Africa. And lastly, I want to make an appeal to all of us. We are not far from fixing Nigeria, and we should all go back to literature, as Sardona and Maitama were saying. I am complete. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for utilizing the time. Mr. Dewey, where is he? I can't see him. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call. 1 second. I'm trying to. Okay, so it's 3 minutes, so I'm just going to give the rounding speech. I'm hoping that we can do this at another time. But before I end the space at 11, I'd like to say something. And it's that it's a popular saying, it's a quote. It says that our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. As an individual, as a person, no matter what status you are right now, no matter what level of comfort that you're privileged, and I use the word privileged to benefit from right now, because there are people out there who are not even privileged enough to benefit that. There are people out there who can eat 3 square meals a day. There are people out there who experience the most traumatic, they go through the most traumatic experiences every day in, day out. And if you really want to look at it, Nigeria is a country that takes away your joy. Nigeria is a country that takes from you, it takes and it takes and it takes, and it never gives anything back in return. And we're saying now that maybe it's time to say, okay, let all hand come on deck right now. Let's stop doing the whole this tribe, that tribe, that tribe. Because at the end of the day, this is one of the most this is one of the biggest divisive tools used by certain elements who profit off insecurity to create some sort of crisis between the Yoruba and the Hausa and the Fulani and the Igbo. When if you shoot Emeka in Enugu and you shoot Denladi in Kano and you shoot Shola in Ibadan, it's the same red blood that will come out. The same red blood. So where's the arrogance coming from? Who told us that one tribe is better than the other? Aren't we tired of seeing the people die every day? I mean, if we can, we'll go back in history and we remember this moment and we think there could have been one thing, no matter how tiny, even if it's talking to that woman on your street to get a PVC, even if it's going to that woman who roasts your favorite corn for you to eat, not the one they will force you to eat inside military when they sign you there, not that one, not tupa corn, but like the people in your community that you have access to. There's a way you will speak to that woman who's roasting corn in your area that when they come to tell her to sell her vote, even if they offer her 100,000 naira, she'll tell them that I'm not taking this money. It's not just people are not stupid. We need to give our people more credit. People are not stupid. They think too. And sometimes we just need certain direction. Sometimes they know they have an idea. They just need you to give them more information. Today I spoke to about 4 different people about getting their PVC. I ended up doing the online registration for 2. To me, that is something. I mean, 2 is a number, but imagine everyone on this space doing that to 2 other people. And those 2 people do that to 2 people. And those 2 people do that to 2 more other people. Do you know how far this will go? Because it's fun and games to come on the space and talk and speak plenty grammar and whatever and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it's about the people. It's about all hands on deck now. It's about this is where we are now. We're in a state where they're telling us that terrorists are using helicopters. That is where we are as a nation. We're in a nation where people go to church and they don't ever return home. Ever. Because they went to church. We're in a state where people go to mosque. During Ramadan, they get bombed. Limbs flying all around. In a mosque. That is where we are now. So if we look at ourselves and ask, who is Nigeria really working for? After this space, I need you to just take 1 minute and just ask yourself, really, let's think about it. Who this country they really work for? Because they work for soldier. Soldier where they dey for army, where Buratai don't pack billions. They work for soldier. Soldier will go die for army, where we say, for grave, if they see say nobody they take care of his family. Soldiers die. They put their life on the line to fight terrorism. They don't get any presidential honor. We don't honor our men. They've turned policemen into briefcase carrier. Say, carry my shoe. No, let's think about it. It's basic psychology. Someone you see every day who is your escort. Then they say you've committed a crime and is that they're sending that same person to come and arrest you. You will not look at him funny like, hope say you well so. Nobody I gave you 10,000 yesterday. You know, we've taken away the power of the people who are supposed to enforce the law. Look at the salary of the policemen. Look at how we are owing judges. We
We are owing judges. I mean, there are certain people you don't owe because you must give them the resources that they need in order to allow them effectively do their job. Because when you don't give them those tools, you rubbish them. And someone that you've already rubbished cannot have mouth to talk. So again, I ask, where are the people in this Nigeria today who have any desire, any iota of building a system that works for us? Because it is imperative on us. We're at a point in history, and I'm not trying to be any goddamn motivational speaker. I don't need to motivate you. Look around you. You will see it tomorrow on the news. 54 killed. We have reduced people to numbers. We bury people, we don't even know their name. It is high time that we start asking ourselves soul searching questions. Thank you for joining the space. I'm hoping we can do this another time. My name is Natasha. Acknowledge everyone here. Thank you, and let's do this another time.